I agree with
No,
him.
he's
They're
not.
for peoples.
He's not people's.
He's peoples. Okay, we're currently live. I'm gonna mute. Mute. What is up, all you admirals out there? It is I, Juliet Whiskey, and welcome back to another rip-roaring wonderful time with the Armada podcast, episode 31. Because we're skipping episode 30 because they are dirty. They know what they've done. Don't look them in the eyes. Just let them know what they've done.
It's gonna be
in
episode
shame.
30 on the website. You know that, right?
Episode 31. Shame. Shame. All you admirals out
You
there.
know that I'm
it is
labeling it
I,
episode 30, right?
Juliet Whiskey, and welcome
It's gonna be
back
weird to have two episode
another
31s.
Roaring wonderful time. Anywho, let's go ahead and get into the. Actually, I kind of messed up because I had a second audio playing in my ear because I forgot to mute YouTube. Yay, me. We almost made a clean intro, boys. We almost did it. Anywho, it's been about a week since the last time we talked. What is everybody up to? How are y'all doing?
I'm good. It keeps getting randomly really cold in Texas, and I hate it. It's not as advertised. The Texas that I purchased 15 years ago is not the one that I'm having right now. So, sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Warren, what about you?
Doing good. Just getting ready to put this tournament on this weekend. A little local store tournament, but looking forward to getting out and seeing people in the wild, as they say.
By the way, we so this weekend's tournament is and is not an official Armada podcast event. So, if you want to participate in an official, non-official Armada podcast event, this would be a good weekend to come down. Go ahead, buy a last-minute plane ticket. We'd love to have you. Anywho, tonight's special guest is the one, the only, the darkest of nights. Not the hero the city wants, but the hero the city needs. Black Admiral. How you doing today, bud?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. Well, I will try to sound like it's not the middle of the night here in Poland, so
I was just about to say
let's save some energy.
I was just about to say my man's is up at 3 a.m. Is it right now?
Yeah, it is.
My
I mean, we were set up for 2 p.m., so you kind of owe me something, I think.
we all use something. We'll send you a collectible coin. We don't have those. We don't have. Anyways, going on to tonight's episode where we will be covering the Black Admiral interview, which is going to get down and dark. The Polish Masters, more Vassal World Cup news, and my favorite segment, Hot Take 30, with a surprise hot take for Kalorn. Anyways.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Oh, people told me things to say. Oh, hello there. Anyways, we're going to hand this over to
I blame all this on Forminder.
the one and only, the right hand of God, holier than thou, Fox Omega.
Oh my gosh, these intros.
Is it me, or does that get
more...
worse every week?
We're getting to the point where I'm surprised a lightning bolt hasn't come down to hit me yet.
I'm working on it. I'm trying as hard as I can.
Goodness gracious. Black Admiral, it's an absolute honor to have you here. I really appreciate you being awake and alert at this time at night. We wanted to bring you on because you officially are the one player we've talked about on a competitive level. You're the one player we've talked about the most without having on the podcast. You were fourth place at Hanover. You were first place at the UK Gaming Expo, first place at the Italian World Qualifier, and now the reason why you're on the podcast talking to us, you took first place at Polish Masters. You do a lot of streaming in the Euro meta. You're such a huge figure, probably one of the biggest figures outside of America right now competitively, at least for me, just watching you play. So it's a huge honor to have you on the podcast. Thank you for taking the time to come on and speak to us. We really appreciate it. But whenever we have someone on, we have to go through the traditional the Armada podcast interview. So My question to you, first off, is how long have you been playing the game?
Okay, so I started playing the game, I believe, back in August 2017. So it's 5 years and a half, I believe, right now.
Quite a bit of time, 5.5 years. Man, a lot of great talent started around that time. What would you say after playing for 5.5 years is your
Hmm.
play style?
The play style. Well, that's a difficult question. I believe, it depends of what we mean by play style. I do like to play all the factions, so I mean, separate is the list, of course. But yeah, I do play a lot of different various lists, so difficult to determine that after after such a time when I was able to do test a lot of things. But mostly, I believe, squadron oriented.
Squadron
Get
oriented,
wrecked,
like
Fox.
me? No, I'm
Yeah, he
fine.
said he doesn't like
He doesn't like. Yeah, I was
submarines.
about to say. He's just like CIS. No. Anyways, like I was
Dude,
saying.
I was just gonna glaze over it. I didn't even want to acknowledge it. The man can not like what he doesn't want to like. That's fine. I'm not gonna harp on it much. Um,
We're gonna harp on you, not him.
I was about to say we're
I
gonna jump
guess
He
on you.
clearly knows what he's doing.
So
that's
I got
messed
a
up.
quick question just to pivot just a little bit. So you said you're mostly squadron heavy. So how do you feel? Which squadron ball do you feel is the best in game right now?
Ooh,
That's a tough question, I have to say. I mean, well, there are a lot. I mean, every faction has their top, you know, the top squad build that you can include, I believe. So difficult to say, but basing on the experience, basing on how the meta looks like, at least here in Europe, I think that Sloan is actually still the best at this point. But it's there is like some kind of a variety because, for example, there are matchups in which I don't know, Sloan is just having issues like against the Biggs ball with Hera and all the other things. Sloan usually is just usually losing against such archetypes, but these archetype is not super efficient against ships. So there is sometimes a bit of rock paper scissors, but yeah, like overall, I believe Sloan still has it.
that's kind of an answer I would have anticipated coming out of Europe. But yeah, I actually agree. I think Sloan has fewer troublesome matchups for sure. Uh, all right. Last question of the interview. If you could give advice to the you starting the game, what would it be?
Oh yeah, so that's an easy one, I would say. So definitely it would be just to play like what basically what I'm doing right now. So play every faction archetype, try test those various play styles because I can remember then that when I started playing Armada for like 1 year and a half, so like as I said, from mid 2017 till early 2019 to Worlds and Adepticon, I was basically pinned down to one admiral, one playstyle, one archetype, and well, that was definitely not good. I think I just wasted some time not playing the other things. So yeah, definitely just try various things, and even if you don't like something, it's worth to try it, worth to check it, just for the purpose of the situation in which you will need to have some knowledge about that facing it in the future.
So just a real quick spin on that. Since you have tried so much and you've played so many different styles, what was the one that felt like the least conducive? Like it just, no matter how you flew it, it did not gel well with you.
You mean the one that doesn't suit me well? Is that what you mean?
So the one that you don't fly well, you stated that you've flown all the fleets, all the factions, and so I'm like, which one hurt? Which one was like, ah.
No, actually, well, difficult to say because whenever I'm just taking some lists, I believe it has some like positive sides. I know why I'm taking particular pieces, so I always, kind of know it's what is it, what is the advantage of having particular list or upgrades or whatever. So there's always something, there's always an idea behind that. I don't know which one, to be honest with you. I mean, as I said, I'm rather squadron oriented player, so I just see the advantage of having squads rather than not having them. So whenever I was just trying some archetypes that that were suffering because of the lack of squads, so like some kind of Raduses, for example, where Radus was really good at engaging, just killing some good target, but then wiping out something else. While, for example, the opponent was running away, you were not able to score um, high, which was like excluding this particular admiral from the further testing, let's say.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. Thank you. That concludes my questions. Fox, back to you, my mans.
Keller, and that's pretty similar to your experience with Radis too, I think.
Yeah, pretty close. Uh, so Daniel, I had a quick question for you as well. I would like to get kind of in your head and how you approach playing in a tournament. I mean, you've done really, really well at a very, very high level. So, what are some of the things of like, how do you approach playing in a tournament? How do you approach putting a list together that you're going to play at a tournament? And then, do you have any strategies that you kind of stand by while you're actually playing in the tournament as well?
So yeah, it depends, of course, what type of a tournament. I generally like to, approach tournaments, being prepared for it, but not like too serious. Of course, there's a lot of, a lot of space to smile and just to have a really nice and funny time during the tournaments, like 2-day tournaments, for example. But of course, I just want to be prepared. So I'm just, trying to play against the hard counters. This is what is really good. Like before the tournament, when you're about to take some lists, it's good to, ask your friend or whatever, just to play against like a really hard counter. Just figure out what you can do. Obviously, like during the tournament, um, before each matchup, you should generally imagine how many points you can score in that particular matchup, because of course we know that sometimes it is difficult to score high against particular list. uh, it's good to properly calculate that, and well, once you're doing that, then generally you can just take some strategy and or tactic and just adjust it to what the situation is.
Sounds like great advice. I officially was able to pick up Daniel as the favorite for Worlds at plus 1200 on BetMGM. Just kidding. I was actually talking about this with some people. I do think that you're at least I would consider you to be one of the favorites for winning Worlds. So I do hope you have good luck there as well. So I think Fox is going to take us into talking about Polish Masters.
Yes, 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 yes. So let's get to the tournament proper. So we're talking about the Polish Masters, and this tournament happened a little bit later, I believe, last year. Um, and so we're getting real close to like a full year on the calendar of the podcast, which is kind of crazy to me to think about. But um, yeah, overall, let's get into some stats, some overall stats. So this was a 2-day tournament. The overall stats for the faction spread was 14 Empire, 7 Rebel, 5 Separatists, and 4 Galactic Republic. And the top 8 whittled down to 3 Empire, 2 Rebel, 2 Separatists, and 1 Galactic Republic. So this, um, I believe, recently Gar has been very, very popular in Europe. The kind of double Venator, double Pelta has been what I've seen do really, really well in Euro tournaments recently. But it looks like there's been kind of this heavy push. Oh, and Rebel MSU, but it looks like there's been this huge push in another direction. Like a lot of separatists, two Grievuses actually ended up making the top 8, but one had to drop. And then all these empires, like almost half of the field empire. Is this something that you kind of anticipated, Black Admiral? Is this like the way this is kind of flowing back and forth, like moving away from Gar? Uh, are people figuring out how to get through the Luminara or the Tarkin tanks and stuff like that, or is Empire really just that popular in Europe?
So I just don't have the stats, but I generally think that Empire is the most popular faction. Like in general, of course, on some tournaments it's just, uh, of course, the amount of the Imperial fleets is higher than on the others. Though no, it was always like that. I believe the Empire was just the most popular faction in Europe. I just I just sometimes like to joke that this is the result of the post-communism history of Poland. So yeah, everyone is like is like a Stockholm syndrome, I think, and everyone likes the bad guys. No, but like being serious, it was just the most popular faction, and maybe when it comes to the new factions, so the Clone Wars factions, the amount is like pretty typical. So it usually is like around of 1/3 Empire, 1/3 Rebels, and 1/3 are the remaining two factions. So this is not a surprise, but the disproportion between Rebels and Empire might be a bit surprising because Rebels recently are also just as strong ones in the local meta. I think, like in general.
Well, yeah, and that's what's interesting is even you've been flying, you were flying Riken and Rebel MSU for quite a while in a lot of those tournaments that I listed earlier, and then you made this transition to Empire, and to see Empire make up almost 50% of this tournament, it's a higher percentage than we've seen show up a lot. So I just wanted to ask the question. It's really interesting, and it's something I have noticed that Empire is just really popular over there, but this was quite a spike in popularity all of a sudden. So
But even with Empire being by far the most popular faction to play, they were the lowest ratio of making it to the top 8. So only 3 of the 14 Imperial fleets made it to top 8, whereas you had 2 of 7 Rebels, 2 of 5 CIS, and 1 of 4 Gar. I mean, that's a pretty big disparity.
yeah, it's true. You can make
So
an argument. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, okay. So definitely, but this is how it is. I mean, just the top players, the better players, they usually like to swap some factions, etc. So a lot of players who are just rather a casual players, they are usually taking Empire. So uh, that that explains the ratio, I believe.
That does make sense.
Harsh but fair.
Yeah, accurate actually. Well, let's move into some parafleet stats. So I have bids for the top 8 fleets. They go 397, 390, 400, 400, 400, 398, 400, and 395. This is really interesting to me because literally 8 months ago, we every single time we covered a tournament, we were shocked at how much lower the bids were going. Now, for the past few tournaments, there's one person kind of pushing the envelope, but almost everybody is 397, 398, 399, or 400. Are we beyond now? Did Europe ever experience that bidding, that heavy bidding for second that America experienced like half a year ago, or are y'all just not really afraid of that kind of style of play?
So we experienced high bidding for for first, but it was like few a few years ago, like back in 2019, let's say 2020, before Armada 1.5, basically. But no, no. I mean, I'm not like a very very huge fan of the topic of the bids, because I generally think that it depends on what archetype you're taking on what list, right? If you're playing Starhawk with VCXs, then of course you need to have the bid. It's not like this is something that uh, you can decide on. I mean, this is how those lists are, and it's just a matter of the fact that the recently the lists that are popular here, or like specifically maybe even for the tournament, just people just took the lists which are you know more complex. They don't need to be second. They don't need to be first. Players just take what it is, and yeah, such lists that require some bid are just not super popular recently. I believe this is the this is the point here.
I think we've seen that here. Like it's really cooled down recently, so I think that's probably right. I don't think it's necessarily that those heavy bidding fleets aren't as effective. I think it's just they've kind of gone out of vogue a little bit. Okay, so we had I have deployments here. And just kind of preface some of these stats. We had a couple players that requested that their fleets remain hidden and not really expounded on. We're going to honor that. So, because Worlds is coming up, we understand that it's a highly competitive time, the next month and a half, and so a lot of people want to remain, continue to have like that surprise factor, or don't want people developing solutions to whatever they've developed. We're going to honor that. So, if I say X on some of these stats, then like that's basically what's happening here. So from first to eighth, we had six for deployments. We had 6, 7, X, 6, 7, 3, 6, and 8. Again, this is a little bit different now. I mean, this is similar to what we saw at LVO, that West Coast American meta, where like you have lower deployments but much more potent activations. Um, I believe that's what I saw in a lot of these fleets. Is like there's not a lot of care of, okay, I'm going to out deploy you to protect my weak ship. There weren't a lot of weak ships floating around, it looked like. um, so yeah, I don't know how y'all feel about those numbers. Daniel, you had 6 deployments, but I mean you had so many heavy bombing squads. So uh, yeah, how do you feel about the 6 deployment versus what we were seeing a while ago, like 8 deployments?
So, well, deployment case is also a specific one. I believe deployments started. The importance of deployments was connected with the meta that we were facing like 1 year ago, 1.5 years, with double onager, pretty popular, because this is the archetype that you really need to have the deployment advantage against, or at least not to be in a bad position against them. But some of the fleets, like you asked about my 6 deployments. I'm playing Jerry, so it's a really flexible admiral. I mean commander. He's a MOF, I think. So yeah, he doesn't really need like super accurate deploy. I mean, of course, you want to achieve that, but this is something that you can actually fix with the skill of the commander that you're leading, that is leading your list. But of course, when it comes to the other lists, I believe, like you mentioned, Republic bunkers, so that Venator and Pelta Luminara builds, they don't need the deployment like that much as well, because they have a long range weapons which are spats. They are, they just fly information, and usually start from the middle. So deployment. I don't think the importance of deployment recently is like really high. As I'm saying, it was mostly forced by two onagers, but recently there are not that many of them.
That's true. I didn't even really think about that. That like as as these onagers and double onager fleets have kind of disappeared, like the need for that many deployments has kind of gone away. Maybe an increase in the popularity of separatists with Patriot fists running around. Maybe you could see it go back up again, but I don't know. Activations. So we have from first to eighth, we've got 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 3, 5, and 5. A lot of, I mean, this is where we've seen it. Not a lot of people taking 2, not a lot of people getting above 5. I think most fleets with the pass token game right now, you're getting everything you really need in 3, 4, or 5 activations. So, Keller, what do you think about that?
I actually had a question for Daniel. Just you were playing you're playing Riken kind of MSU there for a while, and what do you think is the viability of an MSU style fleet as compared to something that has more powerful activations like you flew here at Polish Masters? Because we've seen a lot of this kind of either you're on one end of the scale or you're on the other in the United States. We haven't seen any kind of middle ground. What do you think is the viability of both of those styles right now?
Yeah, so well, the MSU is still like really popular. So MSU is good at at burning tokens, etc. Because of the multiple shots that you're taking, potentially at the bigger target in a round. This is the strong side of the MSU. So this is why it's so popular, right? Because there are much more big ships than they were in the past. Yeah, and there is, I believe people just go either something like that, or either the fleets built around some big ship. It's like the one that you mentioned, the Riken that I was playing. It's a part of rogues, which are the common part for both of those lists. They are like totally different, right? Here, I'm focusing on a big ship with some strategical capabilities, while the other is working totally differently, right? Avoiding the arcs, etc. So yeah, I believe that there are just there's such a variety right now in Armada. This is what I love about today's meta, even that I'm not like a super fan of those tanky huge lists. I just appreciate the fact that there is such a huge variety, and that many different play styles are just just competing each other. So it's really nice, I think.
I have to agree. I'm constantly pleased with where the meta's at right now. Keller, what do you have, man?
Oh, I just wanted one quick follow up. Is I guess I also wanted. We've talked on the podcast a couple of times about the strength of 3 activations versus 4, uh, and I've been kind of on the fence about the idea of when you of what kind of is more powerful. Where are you? Do you think about the relative strength of 3 activation versus 4 activation? Do you have a reason that you kind of fell on the side of 3 activations in this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, the, I couldn't fit more, so this is why it's only 3. But I don't see like a huge difference. I mean, 3 or 4. The only difference might be between the lists that are having 3 and 4, or 4, and the lists that are having like 5, 6, 7, something like that. Because using pass tokens is just a bit more cumbersome when you're playing against the list that has much more activations than you do. Like you're having 2 pass tokens, when you use one, you're usually using the second one also in the same round. But you just need to plan it first, because you need to use them between your activations. So when you're playing against the list that is having only one activation more, then you just can wait until the last ship, and then decide whether you're passing like the activation before. or if you decide to still keep it for the next round because your fleet will not be compromised or something like that. So I don't think there is like a super huge difference. I mean, depends on the list. I'm rather not thinking about the data from the tournaments and like that one. So the activations, squadron amount, etc. I rather do not think about the data in that way. I'm rather looking at what archetypes are winning the tournaments or which are in the top four, etc. And analyzing particular list, right? Because you know like there are many archetypes that have like determined amount of activation since the beginning because you just cannot fit more. And yeah, I'm just thinking like let's say personally for each of these lists.
I think Fox that he brings up a good point. We might need to in the future have we have kind of our normal things that we talk about with tournaments. We might want to have like the top four and just have like archetypes so that we can kind of keep a track of what archetypes are making it to top four.
Yeah. Or we can invite all of the top 8 players and see if they want to have like a round table.
Sir,
That would be a crazy
sir, do
episode.
not. I swear I will fight you in person.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about I think
I
we might
know.
always keep track of like we had MSU and we had long
Like the
range.
style of fleet.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
exactly.
I know what you're talking about. I was just it, we are not going to invite 8 people to be on here at once. That's not going to
He
happen.
tried
That
making
would
it
be
funny and Kaloran got lost. Anywho,
it. It went awful. Yeah.
Happens a lot. It happens a lot.
It happens every day of my life. Well, let's not weigh down too much on the stats then. I do want to go through the squadron numbers, but we'll just move straight into Prishemo's fleet right after this. But um, the squad values from first to eighth were 129, 134, 94, 32, 48, 0, 33, and 48. So a lot of very, very light screens, one medium screen, and then 2 heavily squadron dedicated builds, and both of those were at the top. One of them being yours, Daniel. So let's get into the fleets. So first off, Prashemo, he's been featured on uh, the podcast before, or his fleets have shown up on the podcast before, but he's flying a Martuk fleet, and Martuk is on a munificent star frigate with Rune Hako, projection experts, thermal shields, point defense ion cannons, linked turbo laser towers, and Sonalore. He's got a Recusant light destroyer with Shumai, vet gunners, assault proton torpedoes, civil mount batteries, and Patriot Fist. Another munificent star frigate with Tickies, projection experts, thermal shields, point defense ion cannons, and linked turbo laser towers. A Gazanti cruiser, and 4 vultures for a total of 400 points. Now, this is a archetype we've talked about multiple times on the podcast. This Recusant double muni separatist build, it's tanky as all get out. And it can deal a lot of sustained damage. I mean, it's no question you put this in the hands of a very, very skilled player and it's gonna do well. It's just it's a very high performing fleet. Um, Killer, and what do you think?
Can we talk about the fact for a second that like virtually every munificence that's getting played or doing well right now is this star frigate with like the same few upgrades on it? Like it is just repetitive now. It is that this star frigate with the thermal shields and the PDICs and the LTTs and then add your other things to flavor is what the CIS is playing, and that seems to be like their mainstay.
It's weird. I've been talking about how like munificents are some of the most efficient platforms in the game, and I think if you don't have the defensive retrofit, it is a very, very weak platform. Like Wat Tambor or Rune Hako and Tiki's kind of giving you like that additional repair points. I think it does a lot, but after the fact of applying damage. Like those things heal you, but you have to survive what came in. You know what I mean? And so that's where you got to be able to remove the HIEs. You got to be able to remove the blue dice. You got to be able to remove the APTs. You got to be able to remove those crit dealing effects as much as possible to keep that munificent alive. And if you can do that, boy, howdy, do they stay alive. These things stick around for a long, long time. And then with projection experts being able to move all the shields that they've got on them, like it's just a build that is almost as tanky as some Galactic Republic fleets, but just a lot more long range firepower. Like it's really nasty. It's really nasty.
Daniel, how did you when you look at Preshmo's fleet, like how do you look at that in terms of how would you deal with it for yourself?
You mean with the list that I had on this tournament, right? Yeah. So the
Or your Riken fleet, whatever. What would when you look at this, how do you break it down?
well, so first of all, I believe you just need to eliminate the biggest threat, so the Patriot Fist, because it's just I cannot imagine a situation in which you're just getting engaged with one of those munificents and letting your opponent in this instance Premo just shoot you with remaining two ships. You just need to the Patriot Fist is the weakest because it doesn't have the defensive retrofit. Of course, both munis can heal them up with the projection experts, but still, it has the biggest firepower and is the easiest target, even if it's at speed 3. But this is what you're supposed to do, I believe, in that situation.
Yeah, I think definitely your fleet and as someone who's flown Recusense a lot, like any fleet that has a lot of rogues, they've got a better time trying to get at the Recusent, even if you try to hide it. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of players are getting really wise about it and trying to fly that Recusent behind the Munificence, which makes it a little bit more difficult, but you have to go for it. Like, you have to find a way to get it off the table. So, yeah, I agree. Um, so But anything else we want to talk about this fleet? Because we're gonna move on. If not, it's a solid archetype.
I don't
It's
think
doing
so.
really well. Like,
We've seen fleets of this type in VWC and in various places basically doing the same thing over and over again. So I feel like we've beat it to death at this point. Daniel, what you
So I just wanted to add because you mentioned that those munificents are pretty much refitted in the same way. Uh, Whoever plays them, yeah. I mean, this is the best setup that you can have. I mean, they are tanky. You want them to be tanky, so you're of course including PDICs, thermals, etc. They are definitely superior to the cheapest version of munificents because only 3 points, and you can just have thermals, and you can have much better flak, which is definitely a thing. The only variety that you can that you can include here is that not all the people may want to play projection experts. I believe engine tax is also really really good option for it. Just considering how good munificents are at maneuvering.
yeah, it makes it really hard for your opponent to choose who they want to shoot at for sure. Well, fleets that came in second and third both decided that they didn't want to share their fleet. We want to honor that. They obviously both did very, very well, and so I look forward to if they're coming to Worlds to meeting them and learning about their fleet and seeing how well they do. So super excited about that. So with that though, we move straight into the Black Admiral himself's fleet. So I'm going to read off your fleet real quick, and then Daniel, if you can just walk through your design choices around this, we'd love to hear it. So you had an Onager class test bed with Captain Nita, ordnance experts, sensor teams, and orbital bombardment particle cannons. You had a Gladiator 2 with Callus, Ruthless Strategist, Fighter Coordination Team, External Racks, and Demolisher. You had a Raider 1 with Moff Jerjerrod, Darth Vader, and Corvus. And then your squad ball consisted of Hondo Onaka, Mauler Mythal, and 5 generic fire sprays. Walk me through how you designed this fleet. What were you, because this seems like one of the most incredible meta calls I think I've seen. Like coming in with the double blue bomber, coming in with rogues, coming in with the onager. It's so good. So
What he really means is, what the heck were you thinking? We really want to know.
Yeah, okay, so I will just ask you one question. What do you think? Because this list is evolution of something. How do you think from which list this list evolved?
It looks like some kind of weird Slaughter build that
Yeah,
got
exactly.
modified.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is just the iteration of Slonagar, which doesn't have Sloan in it, and not even Quasar. Yeah, so I was just when it comes to the story of the list, I was trying to find some equivalent to Rebel Rogues on the Imperial side. After a lot of failed tests and games, I just realized the only possibility is just to use fire sprays because only them have enough firepower to deal the ships. So you somehow need to do something for fire sprays to kill the squads, just to be capable of winning the squadron fights. Yeah, so that's how I started with fire sprays. I was trying like various things: ISD with ruthless strategist, instigator, just a support, and of course ruthless strategist. Then later on, I added the combo with Moller and Hando because it's very efficient. I preferred playing. I preferred being flexible and playing Demolisher with engine tags, but in the end, I just realized that Hando Mauler is like really good killer for against the squads. So instead of improving fire sprays with things like Voldar or the other stuff, I just gone that way, deciding that okay, I will need to handle the demo on a speed tree. Yeah, and as you said, it's just coming up from the Slonagar build, so there's a second part of story. Uh,
I guess one question I did have when I was looking at this, you've got your Glad 2 set up to be, your ruthless strategist platform. Did you try a Fire 2 at any point? Did that not work out, or because I've seen some ruthless strategist Quasar 2 builds because of the red flak that are pretty nasty.
Okay, so here comes the another part of story. So when it comes to Quasar, this is pretty much why I abandoned the Slonagar. I mean, I'm not being like a super fan of this build, though. Slonagar, we of course all know how it works. We've seen it so many times. But after playing like few games with it, I realized that when you're unlucky and you're facing like one particular build in, I don't know, it may happen even like one game per 10, so 10% of the games. uh, there are some lists that can just rush at your Quasar, like dual onagers, patriot fists, all the other stuff. Doesn't matter how good you play with it, you will eventually lose it. And some of the lists, especially if you will be unlucky, may kill your Quasar like before it will manage to activate the squads twice. So this is basically why I resigned from playing Slonagar, and I just realized there is a good substitute for it because instead of a Quasar, of course, I'm not burning tokens with Sloan. I do not have a powerful Alpha Strike here, but yeah, but I can swap Quasar with the demo, which if I need is a support support is a shining star of the squadron fight. Or when I'm playing against the squadron less lists, Demolisher is just a normal gunship with pretty much with a lot of firepower. So this is the flexibility. Quasar is just an investment into squads that are, you know, not getting better when you're playing against a squadless list. But Demolisher is just another row and a pure damage that you can have in your list. So this is basically why it evolved. I mean, as I said, I was aware about the fire sprays and the ruthless efficiency from the previous builds, and then I just realized that it fits um, the, this new version of Slonager. Uh, so yeah, this is basically how it evolved throughout those few months, I believe.
Yeah, like I said, I like it. It's just it was kind of came out of nowhere, and it was a surprise to a lot of us. But I think that we're gonna wrap up. And again, congratulations on a big win here at Polish Masters.
Well, thank you so much.
So real quick, I wanted to, before we get into Whiskey's favorite segment, I know he's just
Chomping at the
vibrating
bit.
violently in the corner. Yeah, he's breathing heavily. I just wanted to drop real quick. Geek 19 posted some stuff in the Discord. We're gonna have a link to it in the show notes, but he is getting together an order for like shirts for Worlds for everybody to purchase and kind of as like a commemorative thing since it's the first Worlds we've done in oh gosh, what is it now, like 3 years. So it's a really cool deal. If you want to be a part of it, click on the link and kind of read about it and let Geek know you wanted to place an order. It's a really awesome uh, thing that we get to do. So that's it. And I will now hand it over to the wild dog himself, Juliet Whiskey.
Wait, hold on. We skipped a part of the segment.
What?
VWC news. Just a fast update.
No, we're gonna. I think we're gonna hold off on that till next week because we're kind of in the middle of round 3, and at the end next week we'll have results of round 3 and we kind of be able to see where the tournament is going completely. So.
Oh, that's weird. Now I put all that effort into making sure that I put VWC in the actual description, and now it's just there for no reason. All this work and effort. Don't edit it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave it. So, Fox, I want to say something. You have to finish the sentence, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Stop.
Collaborate and listen.
I'll take 30 time. Anyways.
Oh,
4.
No
Coming-
Vanilla Ice fans over here? Oh, man.
See, it took me a minute to think of that one, too, because I'm like, which one has like 5 or 6 different ones that definitely can
I
lead
am so
anybody
lost.
way off?
You got me.
I'm so lost.
How are you lost?
Apparently, I do not know my pop culture references.
What were you going to say?
I have no idea. Stop, drop, and roll. Maybe I don't know.
Let's see. Fair enough
Oh.
answer. Dan, the Black, do you got one?
No,
Stop.
not that time. But well, I have to say that at the beginning I promised that I will keep some energy, and now I realize that I may sound like 90 years old person sitting here in you know on the east. Yeah, I'm just like really tired.
It's
And the
okay.
thing is-
We're hanging on your every word, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay, so jumping into the first question, this one's going specifically out to Kalorn. Tanky lists are a great crutch, letting less skilled players still claim top prizes. I'm not saying it's dishonorable or anything. I'm just saying, it's a little helpful. How does that make you feel, buddy?
I could see why this got aimed at me. I think that tanky Armada is something that we've always had to one degree or another. Whether or not it's helpful, you need to be able to leverage the fact that you are tanky for it to matter. So yes, I think it is helpful for newer players to play tanky lists because they don't lose pieces as easily. But just because you're tanky doesn't mean that you're going to win. We've seen that over and over again. It's easy that there's lots of things in Armada that break the tank. you need to, if you're going to play a tanky list, you need to know how to leverage your offensive capabilities in addition to your defensive ones, or there's really no point.
But what about your honor, sir?
People can impinge my honor all they want. I don't give a fuck. I won.
Oh my god.
So much heat.
All right.
So much heat. This one's going out.
That's what I like, the pure efficiency.
Straight to the point.
So yeah, Daniel, I mean, if people are gonna come at you, like, just come at me, bro, man. Like, I don't give a crap. If I win, I win. If I don't, then you can make fun of me. This is what.
That's the proper attitude. You asked me about the approach at, like, previously, like a few minutes ago, then I can tell you this is the one. Just, play what you want to play, and that's it.
Fox, you got any input on that?
No, because if I said anything that was just artificially like trying to churn something, clearly I would get shamed. So no, I think they nailed it.
Look, I've got the future world champion on my side.
Yeah, it's not worth the fight.
Stoking the fire. Just stoking the fire. Just stoking. What you got, Black?
Okay, so, but because those are those quotes, like, from Discord, right? Am I getting it right now? Like the one that you've mentioned at the beginning, that someone said that tanky lists are making people achieving the victory easier. That's what you
Correct.
meant, right?
Yeah, these are the hot takes
Yeah,
that are coming in.
yeah, I can only say, like, a part of the fun part that we have, like, seriously treating this question. I can just say that uh, tanky lists are difficult to be eaten by uh, mediocre players, let's say. So whenever someone who is just less experienced or beginner is taking such a list, uh, of course it has a handicap against the players not from the strict top, I would say, because the tanky lists are usually about efficiency of using the defense tokens and engineering commands, but you need to know how to do that properly. I've seen so many games in which someone leading a tanky list was losing the main piece of that list because of, like, some kind of small mistakes on not the proper order of using things in his list. So they are not they're really not easy to play. It's not like, you're taking some list and you're winning. uh, yeah, and so in theory, yeah, it might be like that, but in practice, I have to say that, look at the results of the tournaments, it's still the same players uh, in the top. Doesn't matter if they play tanky list or whatever list they play. So tanky lists are not making the new players winning tournaments, like, just because they took it. It's
Roger that. So now we're actually going to move on to Fox's question. I lost my questions? No, because they started typing random stuff and I had to close Windows. I have two screens. You know how hard it is to keep up with all this shenanigans? Anyways, Fox. Even some of the worst times in life have lessons to be learned. It's taken some awful stuff to make you who you are today. But that person is amazing. I'm really glad you found... What is this long... What is this? Was I supposed to be, like, reading this as, like, a testimonial or something? Like, Fox, what? I'll finish it. I'm really glad
bro,
you
you
found
kinda
your way
ruined
back,
it.
and your life is better now because of it. Because this is Hot Take 30. This isn't even a question. This is like just, hey, stuff's hard. We get it. I'm glad you're here. Good job just being alive. That takes effort. Just being alive takes effort. But I wasn't ready for that. That was too much for me. Now I'm over here snot-eyed and whatnot. Anyways, Fox, what do you guys say on this one?
No, that was it. Like, there was a moment in the Discord a couple days ago where I just wanted to highlight this moment where, like, life gets tough sometimes, and it's really easy to get lost in, like, just what has made you, and it's really cool that we get to participate in. It's what makes this community great, is that we all share in this experience, and we can support each other in that way. And I just wanted to broadcast that because I don't think it really got enough. Um, it didn't get enough attention as it was happening in the Discord. Like letting people know that like you're whoever you are, listener, like you are awesome. We think that you are great and worth it. And if you're going through things, like there are people that are available to like hear you out and see you through that stuff. And that's what's cool about this community. So I just wanted to highlight that. I thought it was really cool. So that was it.
That's so beautiful.
We can just beat the crap out of him with Fox if you want. I'm on board for this.
This
But
is so beautiful.
I'm going to.
I just wanted to make a point here as well. Just the, there have been. It used to be for a very long time in my life. I kind of thought that I didn't need to worry about my mental health, and then in 2020 in March, I have to say like there was a moment in time that like the whole COVID pandemic and all the things that were getting piled on me just completely broke me mentally. And since then, I've been much more aware of what's going on with my own mental health. And there are times that, I had a rough time earlier this week that I went through some stuff and I talked to Fox about it and I've talked to a couple people about it just to try and get my thoughts straight. But sometimes, things are not fun and not great, but they get better. And you just kind of have to trust that life is going to get better down the road.
And straight up, I know I'm being silly, but mental health is seriously important. Take it from an old crusty vet. Take care of your mind. Take care of your body. It's okay. Things get hard. Things always get hard, no matter what you do, no matter how life rolls through. Trust me, things get hard. Take time, heal, and then get back to it. Nobody's going to judge you for taking time to heal. Nobody's going to judge you for having a counselor. And if they do judge you, you don't need that person in your life. So, like they're saying, take care of yourself. But that wraps up today's episode 31 of the Armada podcast. Nothing? No reaction? Fine. Okay. Anyways, that wraps up episode 30.
No, it's good. I guess I just wanted to give Daniel a chance to jump in there if he had any words of wisdom for people as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Some people have important thoughts.
The words of wisdom. Oh my gosh, that's the most difficult part of of the podcast. No, just talk to people. Whenever because I believe the issue is whenever someone is just uh, locking himself in the cave and is sitting there. I believe we all have been there, like for a few, at I don't know days. Some of us probably like I don't know weeks, months, years. Just talk to people, whoever they are. Just get try to you know get some contact with you know just whoever, just to keep up and to play Armada, of course. Yeah.
Blow up spaceships, god dang it. That's all you need. That's the healthiest advice that could ever advice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because we were speaking about the tournaments, etc. I can really say that the huge part of all this. I mean, of course, playing, figuring out lists, and all this competitive approach is like really fine. It's really nice thing, but hanging out with people, I can assure you that whenever I'm heading to a 2 days tournament, uh, I'm mostly looking towards the Saturday's evening, not what is happening then on Sunday. So just hang out with people, and just be nice and yeah, just try to enjoy.
I couldn't agree more with that. And in that vein, I want to say we really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us today, Daniel. It was really special for you to stay up as late as you did, and we very much appreciate it.
Well, today for you and for me is a bit different because I'm already in 17th. So,
Tell me, what does your future eyes see? Nothing.
well, the bat. at this point.
The bed.
I mean, actually,
The bed.
they don't see it, but I just can sense it with the force.
May the
All right,
force
well,
be with you.
We'll get to there.
And thank you for coming out. Thank you all for listening. Like always, we are live now on YouTube. We're working on TikTok. We're going to wrap this bad boy up, put it in a nice little pod, and get this thing shipped off. Remember, all you admirals out there, we do this every Thursday, and fly safe.